I'd love for you to maybe give the quick, 45-second, 2-minute high level on what you've been up to, and just really how you kind of got into this like NLP world as a sales leader.
Yeah. So pretty pumped to be here. Appreciate the time, Jake. Thanks for having me on. So NLP for me goes back a number of years, but really quickly, some high level background, excuse me. So I deal in the world of voice every single day. So a lot of people think, there's two different acronyms associated with NLP, right? There's Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is my world. And then there's also natural language processing, which a lot of folks are, they're dissecting phone calls. They're analyzing form fills, and they're doing some cool stuff with that. So maybe we could talk about that another time. But for the practical purposes of this and the psychological side of it, we'll talk about Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which Neuro-Linguistic Programming was started about, at this point, we're just coming up on like the 50th anniversary by a couple of gentlemen named John Grinder and Richard Bandler. And they were a psychologist and a linguist. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to model excellence. They found people that did things that were particularly effective, and they wanted to unpack the strategies that these folks were using to really drive excellence. So that's really the foundation, and it grew into a lot of different things because of the folks that they ended up modeling, right? A lot of folks associate NLP with a therapeutic approach because there are a lot of therapeutic avenues in which it can be utilized, but that's because when they were initially modeling, they were modeling therapists and they were modeling psychologists and psychiatrists. And so a lot of things came out of that. There's also some hypnosis stuff that goes along with it. But for me, I got started about 5-6 years ago, and it was kind of funny the way that it started. I actually had a really bad fear of flying, and as a sales leader, you're on a plane pretty much all the time. You're hustling. You got to get to where you got to go, and so for me, it was a really anxious time. And flying can be a really enjoyable thing. It can be a really majestic experience. And, for folks that spend a lot of time on plane, it's a time where we can kick some ass and get some work done, right? But if you're anxious and you're nervous the whole entire time and you're afraid the plane's going to crash, you're not going to have a great experience. So that's how I initially got into NLP, is I wanted to get rid of that fear. Really, why should anybody care about NLP? NLP makes you a better person. Right? It makes you a stronger human being. It makes you a stronger individual. It gets rid of stupid fears like a fear of flying. I say stupid because it seems silly to me. But if you're in the midst of a grip of a fear like that, it's not that stupid to you, right? NLP is how our brain perceives language. How do we create the pictures in our brain? How do we change them? And a lot of times we can make some pretty momentous changes just by really simple language changes.